Hello everyone and welcome to Tech Quest. This is my very first video and I would just love to spread my knowledge. So let's just discuss about local storage versus session storage, which is a concept of basically JavaScript web browser because there is a web storage API, which is an application programming interface that allows developers to store the key value pairs locally within the user's web browser. And many of the application uses this concept because they don't want to share every single detail into the network and then hit the network when it is required. So instead we can use the concept of local storage where the information of the users gets stored locally. For example, if you go to Flipkart, there also when we log in, it's just creates some local storage data, puts the string values here in the local storage, and when we go again and look at when we go again to the flipkart.com, I am logged in. Yeah, the user is logged in. Why? Because the data is stored locally in the user's local storage. So let's just discuss what is local storage, what is session storage, because they both are kind of a similar thing, but there is a slight difference between both of them. So I would like to display everything. I will be coding along with you. So let's just go and start with the concept. So it's just the image here. I've created a folder and I don't have to open it terminal. I will be opening it with the VS Code. So you can go with any of the code editor that you like, and we'll just create a HTML file. So because I don't want to theoretically tell everything, because that would not be a right approach to explain, because theoretically I think this much is the required thing to notice, that both the storage are the mechanism that is provided by web storage API, and both lets us store the data. But we will more of the will be using more local storage since it allows us to store the data without any expiration time. All right, so I'm just trying to create an HTML basic file so that, wait a second. So I just copied a template and we'll be using this, right? So inside this we can create a script file where we'll be displaying, where we'll be writing all of the JavaScript code, since we want the script file to write all of the JavaScript. Though we can create a script file here and we can add that here also, but let's just keep it away. All right. So we'll be first. Let me do this. Let's just put the src here of our script file, and that's it. Let's just add a heading as well, or a title: local storage versus session storage. Let us also write that in heading. Hello. Let's discuss about local storage versus session storage. So let me just save it all. Let me write a console log here as well. And let's just go and run it. So it would be easy for you to also, just run it and see the output, whatever we are doing. Right. So in the console, we have got this local storage versus session storage. It means we have successfully connected our script file to the HTML, and here we got all of the content that we wrote inside the body. So let's go to the script.js file and start writing the content over there. Okay, so inside the network, you'll see the network here. I just inspected using Control Shift, right? And we can see there are different of the uh, look at this. Let me just make it huge. And now we can see all of the things inside the console here. There is a concept of memory here, which is kind of a blank. There is application where we have this local storage and session storage that I was talking about. And right now it does not have anything, right? We can see. So let's just go to our script file. I'll just control and click enter here. And as I said that it works with the string values. So we have local storage and session storage available in the JavaScript. So let's just go with the session storage and I want to set the item here. I would say session data and I would just make it like this is my data inside session storage. All right. This is my data inside the session storage. Now, what I want to do is I just want to get the data from the session storage. So what we can do is this has set the item inside the session storage. All right. Let's see if there is something. So we have, key and a value which we wrote there that I have session data as key. I have this is my data inside session storage as value, but the local storage we can see it's blank. All right. So this is my session data that has got set here. And session data has an expiration time. Like if I would go and delete it, I will just close the tab. It will be removed there automatically. We don't have to manually delete it from there. So let's just make a const and say session data and we'll just get the data from the session storage. So we'll go to session storage and dot get item. And what item do we want to get? We want to get the value which is corresponding to this. Copy it, paste it here. So the whatever value it was in front of session data will get stored inside the session data here. So let's just console log the data here. So you know what we did? I didn't manually stored anything inside my script. Just instead I stored the value in the session storage and now I'm getting data from there. So let's console log and I'm saying data coming from session storage is right, and let's just print the session data. So let's see what I got here inside my console. So see, data coming from my session storage is this. So if I close it, now you can see it is here because it got set again. Where is it? Yeah. So inside this, we have stored the session data and this is my data inside the session storage. So what happens is, right now it is, I'm opening my desktop file, this index.html file. So if I close it and then, restart it, the session storage data will be disappeared. It means it will not be there. Like, you go to Flipkart and see the data is stored there in the local storage only. So that is why the user gets signed in here and has this look at this. It has some of the session data that would be disappeared if I'll close the tab. And there would be data inside the local storage. Right now there is no data, but because I'm not logged in yet, but what it does, it saves my auto searches history and everything in here only locally. So they don't need to go to the network and store there the auto suggestion history. Instead they would just store here because they know that this will not get cleared. So why use the memory of the local storage, right? So this was the example of session storage, and now let's just comment it out and let's go to the local storage, and then I'll just summarize the difference between both of them. So similarly, local storage is available like this. So we'll set item, and yeah, you have guessed it right. We will be using again the variables here. So I'm saying local data And I'll say this is my data inside local session, or say local storage. All right. And again, the same method, what we'll be doing is, I'll say const local data is equal to local storage dot get item, and which item, the local data, definitely that. And I'll just, now I have my data inside it, so I can just console log the data, right? So let's see, now the data would be stored inside the local storage. All right. So I have my local data, which says this is my data inside the local storage. Earlier, we saw that it was blank and there was no data, but now I got this my data inside the local storage. So this is how we can store the data here. Then we can use it. So there were methods like get item and set item that we both discussed. We have discussed both of them. So let's just summarize the difference between local storage and session storage. So inside local storage, the data stored in local storage persists, right? Even if we close the browser, it's accessible across different session and tab. But in session storage, as the word says session, it's just available for that particular duration of the current browser session, only for that session. It gets cleared when the browser is closed. All right. So like right now, even if I close the browser, I'll go and I'll check the local storage would be there, but not the session storage. All right. So this was the difference between the local storage and session storage, and I hope I was able to elaborate on this topic. And yep, that was it about the video. So this was a great concept of web storage API that is used by most of the developers in most of the applications, and even in the applications like Flipkart. So the big applications also uses this topic. Thank you so much.